Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is the first video you're watching. My name is Anna and I'm a macrame artist and teacher. As promised in my last video, today is going to be a Q&A. I've got a few questions that I get asked frequently, and then you guys have also posted in the comments of my previous video and of the community post that I did last week, so I'll be doing those as well. There are 5 macrame questions and 5 on the more personal side. So let's dive into the macrame ones. The one question I have recently started seeing more and more is you guys ask me, where is the description box? Now, you all hopefully know by now that for all of my videos, I put all of the chords, like the measurements and lengths, I put those into the description of the video. And I think what YouTube has done is they've hidden the description box a little bit more recently, so I'm not surprised that you guys are asking about it. I'm putting a screenshot on here that shows you at the top, you see the video, right? Then underneath you've got the title, my channel, and then there is that little gray box, like the light gray, that's the description box. Now, as you can see, it only shows a little teaser of the text. And so what you have to do, you have to click on the show more button that's on the right side of it to expand to the full description where, again, here is an example of the entire text with all the measurements that you can see in there. So I hope that that clarifies it, and now everyone will be able to see how much chord they're supposed to get for their project. And talking about those chords, the second very frequent question that I get is if the description that I'm giving you is already the chord doubled. So when you're using the lark's head knot to attach the chord to your dowel or whatever, if that's the full length. And so the answer is yes. So to give you an example, if I'm saying in the description 2 times 4 meters, that means you're supposed to cut 2 chords 4 meters each. And that's like the full length that you will need for that particular piece of chord. So I hope that that's another one clarified. Okay, for the third question, this is one I got from one of you, and I've also seen this many times before. How do you convert the chord length if you're using a different size chord? So for example, the pattern I'm giving you, I'm telling you that I've used 5mm chord and these are the lengths, and you want to use 4mm chord instead. How should you, should you cut longer chords, shorter chords? How should you work with that? So to answer this question, I think I am disappoint you a little bit, because here's the thing. I don't really have experience with this since I'm never following somebody else's pattern. I've never had to do this conversion myself. So I don't have my own measurements and guidance on that. But of course, in general, if your chord size is bigger, is larger than the original pattern, so let's say I'm saying 5mm and you want to use 8mm, then you need to cut longer chords because your knots will be bigger and therefore will use more of the chord length. That's the general advice. But in terms of like specific percentages, for example, if it's, I don't know, 1mm up, then cut 10% more or something, I don't have that myself. I did find a conversion chart on Etsy that I'm going to link in the description box, which you now know where that is. So I'm going to post that link there. It's just like a PDF chart that you can buy for €2 or something. So really not, not expensive at all, that you can use. But of course, I can't guarantee that those numbers are accurate, as I haven't seen it. I've never used it, but that's just something that I found. I also found this one just online when you Google macrame conversion chart or something like that. But again, same thing, I have no idea how accurate these percentages are. So if you do end up using one of them, maybe you can comment here under the video whether you've liked using one of those charts. Okay, question number 4 from one of you. Do you have a technique or a way of demonstrating the projects you want to do other than drawing? So I talked about drawing, I think, in my first Q&A. So I do that sometimes, not for every project, but the one thing I've started doing more and more recently is that I like to test the pattern. So if I'm doing something different or I'm, for example, using beads in the pattern and I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work out, like if the idea that I have in my mind is really usable, if it is really going to do the thing that I want it to do, if it's going to look the way I want it to look, I will just take a few pieces of scrap cord that I have, and I have a ton of those at this point, and I'll put them on like a shorter dowel or something somewhere on the side, and I'll do like a couple rows or just a few sections of the pattern that I'm thinking of, maybe put in the beads or do whatever it is that I need to test. And this has proven so useful for me because not only does it tell me whether it's going to work, but I can also use it really well to calculate the length of the cord that I'm going to need, because I can measure the scraps and I can measure how much of them is the pattern using, and then just use that when I'm cutting the real cords. So that's, I think, a really good tip that hopefully some of you will find useful as well. And then the one other thing that I've used, but only once, was an Excel table. That was on this project with the night sky, where I knew that I wanted to place those stars somewhere in those like purple or violet cords, but I wasn't sure where exactly, or I wanted to make sure that they would be spaced out correctly. So I've actually used an Excel table with the colors and, you know, the whole scheme in there. And that was pretty useful too. But so far I haven't done any other projects where that would come in handy. So that was just the one occasion. And then the last question in the macrame section is, how do you decide which cord is best for your project? Now, this definitely depends on the look I'm going for, and what I mean mostly with that is the fringe. Yeah, what do I want to do with the fringe? Do I want a brushed out fringe? Do I want the wavy one? Or do I just want a clean cut at the end? Or maybe do I just not want a fringe at all? I just want to glue the ends to the back of the work and not have any kind of fringe. So I'm really thinking about what am I doing with the fringe when deciding about the cord. And the thing is, I now definitely prefer working with the braided cord. I just really found that it's the easiest one to do. It's the easiest one to unravel. If, you know, the thing doesn't look good, it's the one that stays the most consistent throughout the piece. Like both the single twist and the 3-ply, they tend to unravel a little bit as you're working on the cords. And the braided, I don't know, like maybe they also just feel the nicest for my hands. I don't know, but I definitely like working with them the best. So I'll often try to think of ways, even if, let's say, I want a fringe that I want to brush out, I try to think of, is there a way that I could do the majority of the pattern in the braided cord and only then somehow add the single twist cord, which I'm then going to brush out. So that's something how I try to maybe make my job a little bit easier or a little bit more pleasant. So I hope that that also answered your question. So those were all the macrame questions, and now moving on to the personal ones, where the majority of them are about the pregnancy. You guys wanted to know more about that. So the number one question that I have is, what is your due date? When are you expecting? And the due date is May 6th. So when I'm filming this, I'm at 35 weeks. So just a few more weeks to go. I'll see if I can show you a little bit of the bump. There's definitely someone in there. Then another question I got is if this is my first pregnancy, and the answer is yes. This is going to be our first child. I am super excited, of course. It's definitely a big new adventure that we are getting on, and I just can't wait. Then the third question was, in general, how is the pregnancy going? Any of the, getting nauseous, getting tired, all those symptoms. I would say in general, it was pretty good. I mean, again, first kid, so I don't have anything to compare it to. I was nauseous and tired in the beginning. I talked more about that in my other video. That's also why I had a little break in filming and doing any macrame projects. But it wasn't too it wasn't like I was going to the bathroom all the time. That rarely happened, but it was just a general nauseous feeling that I had all day for 2 months. So nothing, super pleasant to deal with. But then that went away after about 2 months. Then there were some pains and aches, sure, but not so much the tiredness, I have to say, even though now that I'm at 35 weeks, I'm definitely feeling the out of breath. You might even hear it in the way I'm talking. Like, it's ridiculous that just by talking to you, I can feel that it's like, oh my God, I have to give myself a break and breathe a little bit. So that's definitely there. But other than that, I've actually I've stopped working already in my day-to-day job, because here in the Czech Republic we do have a maternity leave that starts about 6 to 8 weeks before your due date. So I'm already on that, and I'm really enjoying these last few weeks of essentially being on vacation and just getting ready for the bundle of joy to arrive. And question number 4 in this part is whether there will be any macrame baby related projects coming. So I don't have any planned, like I'm not thinking of making anything for the baby just yet, but that just might come when I'll have her here and I'll feel inspired or whatever. Maybe you guys will have an idea that I will really like. So I'll see. So far, nothing planned. And also, I just wanted to talk in general about what happens to this channel when the baby comes, because I want to prepare you for the possibility that I just might go very silent for a very long time. Like, I just really don't know. Even now, I don't feel as excited to do macrame. The only thing I'm excited about is thinking about the baby and thinking about being a mom. So it's very hard for me to do the projects and kind of get into that mood again. And I imagine this will probably be even worse when I actually have the baby. So it's quite possible, I think, that you will not see me for a while in a few months. So if that happens, just don't worry. I will make sure to keep you at least somewhat posted about how we're doing. And yeah, I hope that I will be able to get back to macrame, because it is providing an income for me. So I, of course, don't want that to stop completely. So yes, that's the general plan, which is not that much of a plan. It's more of like, I'll just have to see how it feels, but kind of preparing you for what might happen. Okay, and we got to the last question where Amy wanted to know if I had a chance to read any more of The Way of Kings and if I started on either of the following books. So I think that was maybe in the last Q&A, maybe in another video where I've mentioned that I love The Way of Kings and the entire Brandon Sanderson world, who is the author of that book. At this point, I've read almost everything he has written. So not just The Way of Kings and the entire Stormlight archive, but also all the others, the Mistborn series and all the different separate novels that are all part of his Cosmere universe. I'm really enjoying them. I've reread many of them already, and I could definitely recommend, if you're a fan of fantasy books, then this is one of the top that I've ever read. So I'm just about to order the new one. I think, is it called Tress of the Emerald Sea or something like that? Like the new book he has released as part of his secret projects. So hopefully I'll get to read that before the baby comes as well. And if you guys have any good fantasy book recommendations, then put them down below. I'm always up for reading one of those. And that is it for this Q&A. Thank you for all the questions that you guys have sent me. I hope that listening to my answers was entertaining and useful for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.